Hey everyone, welcome back, and in this tutorial we are going to be working on our double jumps. So to do so, find your character, right click on your character with them selected, and go browse to asset so that they appear on the bottom over here in your content browser. Double click on your character, and by default you're going to have most of the code already kind of set for you, including the jump. Except the jump's over here, so if you just select it and move it over to the side because we're going to need to add some nodes to this. That's going to kind of help a bit. And we have jump, we have stop jumping. If you want to adjust the jump that you currently have, click over on character movement inherited, and then in your search details, you just want to type in jump. Okay? There's two that you want to focus on. The first one's the jump Z velocity. So by default we have it at 600, and that's the speed at which you jump. So if I changed it from 600 to 2500 and then ran that and I jumped, you're going to notice that you have a lot more distance in your jump. Now you don't have a lot of control, but you can jump really high and you can land pretty softly. If you want to control the control you have air control over here. By default it's 0.2, but you can have a maximum of 1. That's going to give you the most control in the air. So if I compiled that and I jumped, you're going to notice based on the shadow that I have a lot more control over where I land. Okay, so that's just some basic modification, and you can mess around with those numbers and the other settings as well to kind of like tinker a jump for your game or your character. But what we want to do is add in a double jump. So we're going to add in some more variables. Go over to my blueprint over at the character blueprint and add in a variable. The first one's going to be called jumps, and we're going to make jumps just like an integer. So let me actually close out of this. Okay, so jumps is just going to be an integer. So an integer is just a whole number. There's no 0.1s or 0.2s. So we don't need to be very specific like we do for the health, because you either jumped or you didn't jump. You don't have half a jump or triple jump, or I guess you could if you wanted to, but we're just going to set that to an integer. And then we're going to add in one more, and this is going to be a jump counter. Okay, and I wrote that in camel case, so jump counter, and camel case is just when you capitalize each letter after the first, although in this case I'm capitalizing the first letter as well. Okay, and jump counter is also going to be an integer. I'm going to compile that, and let's say we want our character to double jump, so I'm going to set that to 2. Okay, that's going to just give it a maximum of, or actually, counter. Let's set the jump counter to 0. Okay, and then let's go to jumps and set that to 2. Okay, because our counter is currently at 0, and the amount of jumps we want to be able to do is 2. So after we do 2 jumps, that's all our jumps that we get. Okay, so let's go ahead now and stretch out this code over here. So I'm just going to move out jump, and we'll adjust the background after this. And when you press the jump button, we're going to create a branch. Remember, branches are like if statements. So we're just going to create a condition. And I'm going to move this to the bottom over here. And the condition is going to be checking if our jumps is currently at our jump counter level. So I'm going to right click, or our jump counter is at our jumps level. And I'm going to, or actually I'll drag out, no, I think I could find. So get, let's see if this works. Get jump. Yes, cool. Okay, get counter, or jump counter. So if jump counter, and then we need jumps. Get jumps. And then we need a condition. So I'm going to drag off over here, and I'm going to say less than integer, so integer less than integer, and I'm going to combine jumps to that, and that's going to be our condition. Okay, so the condition is if our jump counter is less than our jumps, then this is true. So we're going to run whatever's in the true condition. So if you think about it right now, jump counter is at 0 and jumps is at 2. So 0 is less than 2, that's true. So it's going to run what's in the branch. Okay, so it's going to essentially allow us to jump. Now it's going to keep letting us jump because we're never actually adding more to a jump counter. So if that's true, let's add to our jump counter first. So let's just go there and do plus jump, or I guess we'll start with jump counter. Okay, get jump counter. Okay, well, it doesn't want us to get jump counter. That's fine. We will just use this jump counter. So I'm going to drag off this jump counter, let go, and just do plus integer. Okay, so it's going to add 1, and then we're going to drag off this, and we're just going to say set jump counter. Okay, and then we're going to drag it over to here, and then we're going to connect that to that. Okay, so what it did is if this is true to this, less than which it is, it's going to run the true. Now, I can still use this one for other commands, and that's what I did there. I couldn't generate a jump counter over here, I'm guessing because it's not a blue node. So I'm just using it twice is essentially what's happening. So it sets the counter, it adds 1, sets it, so it's then currently at 1, and then it will, it will jump. Okay. Now this would be fine, except that we never set our counter back to 0. So after we jump a few times, and let's go ahead and check this out, compile, go to play, jump once, jump twice. There was a second jump there, I believe. And now I try to jump again. You're going to notice that your character is grounded. You've used all the jumps that you currently have. Since jump counter is no longer true, you can't jump anymore. Which could be cool, because maybe you want a game where you have a limited amount of jumps, and you could burn through your jumps. But we want to be able to jump more, should we want to. So let's go back over here, and we're going to add in a new event. So just right click here, and we're going to do search event on landed. This is just something pre-scripted in Unreal. This means whenever your character is in contact with the ground, this event is going to run. Okay, and the event is just going to be to set our jump counter, which is currently at 2 because we've used up both our jumps, over to 0. Okay, so it's going to be set to 0. I'm going to compile that, and now that should be good. Okay, so let's go ahead and just go also to our character movement, because it was a little hard to see that double jump, and set it back to its default levels, which I believe this was at 600. And then I think our air control, and I apologize if this is wrong or not, was like 0.1 or something about there. Okay, just so we could see our double jump better. And I'm going to compile this, play it, and then I'm going to jump once, and now I'm going to jump once, and once, twice. Okay, so you can see that I'm not still able to double jump. That's still looking like a 1 jump thing. So I'm guessing it's because we need a little bit of time to trigger our secondary jump. Okay, and after testing a few things, I determined that it's actually not time that we need. We just have to set some internal features into our character. So go back to your third-person character, and you want to be on the top here, your third-person character self, so have that selected. If you don't have jump still in your detail bar, type in jump, and then it's going to take you to our variables, jump and jump counter, as well as these character variables that were there kind of before we got here. So these were already preset into the character. One of them is the jump max hold time, which is currently at 1. And if you increase that number, it will essentially, increase your jumping, how long you maintain your velocity for. And the jump max count is like a hard count on how many maximum jumps your character can do. So because it's set to 1, even if we change our counts to like 4 or 5, it will only do a maximum of 1 jump. So you need to change that number first. Since we're trying to do a double jump, we could do 2, but just to show you exactly how this works, I'm going to set it to 10, just so it's not like we're going to do 10 jumps. And then for our jumps, I'm going to, let's just go ahead and give our character a triple jump now. So I'm going to click 3, okay? And I'm going to compile this, and now run it. And I could jump once, jump twice, jump 3 times. And notice how much higher I get. And notice how I can hold the space bar and I maintain that velocity for a lot longer before I could trigger my second and third jump. Also, if I try to jump 3 times and then try to jump a 4th time, I can't. Okay, so that max jumps doesn't dictate the amount of jumps you can do. It just dictates the maximum of jumps that are possible at the time. Okay, so hopefully that kind of makes sense. We're going to probably continue this in the next tutorial, but if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Okay, peace.